You've been distant lately, I said, breaking the silence between bites of overcooked salmon. She blinked, caught off guard. Distant? Yeah. Like, you're here, but not here. Emily smiled softly, the kind of smile that usually meant I'd missed something obvious. I'm not being distant, she said. I've just been thinking. About. And that's when she said it. Like she was asking me to pass the salt. I think we should try an open marriage. My fork paused halfway to my mouth. It hovered, trembling just slightly, the food forgotten. I'm sorry, what? She didn't flinch. Her eyes met mine squarely, steady and unsettlingly calm. I've been reading, listening to podcasts, watching videos. It's not as radical as it sounds. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because my brain needed something to soften the impact. Emily, come on. Is this some kind of joke? No, she said simply. And that's when the weight of it started to settle over me. The slow realization that she wasn't joking, that the words hanging in the air were real, and she had meant to say them exactly as she did. It's about freedom, she said. Curiosity. Trust. I pushed back from the table, chair legs scraping hard against the tile. Trust. I scoffed. That's rich. You want to fuck other people and call it trust? She sighed, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. It was that deliberate movement she always made when she was trying to stay calm. She'd done it during our first real argument, years ago, in a parking lot outside a Target. Don't make it sound cheap, she said. How else am I supposed to make it sound, Emily? She didn't answer right away. She just reached for her wine glass and took a slow sip, like that would make this conversation easier. Like anything could. We've been together a long time, she said finally. Since college. We've done everything right. The house, the careers, the vacations, the marriage. But I don't want to wake up one day in my 50s and wonder what I missed. I stared at her, trying to connect this version of Emily with the woman I'd built a life with. She'd always been adventurous, sure. The spontaneous weekend trips, the salsa class she dragged me to, the time we camped in the desert and had sex under the stars. But this wasn't just a new chapter. It was a whole different book. You missed what exactly? I asked. Bad Tinder dates? Drunken hookups? Condoms and strangers who don't call you back? Her eyes dropped to her plate. It's not just about sex. Then what the hell is it about? I want to feel something new again, she whispered. The silence that followed stretched too long. The wine sat heavy in my stomach. I couldn't decide if I was more stunned or furious. You know what I feel? I asked. I feel like I've been sucker punched in my own goddamn house. Emily winced. I didn't mean for it to feel that way. I wanted us to talk about it. Together. I still love you. More than anything. I need this. I need to explore. To breathe. I stood there, hands gripping the back of the chair, knuckles white, heart pounding like a war drum. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd shared 10 years with. The woman whose skin I knew like my own, whose laugh could still crack me open from the inside. And all I could think was, why wasn't I enough anymore? What if I said no? I asked. She hesitated, then said, I would be disappointed, but I'd respect it. And if I said yes? Her face softened. Then we set rules. Boundaries. We stay honest with each other. No secrets. No emotions? I asked, voice cold. No attachments. Just experiences. I sat down again, the chair groaning beneath me. I poured myself another glass of wine, even though I hadn't finished the first. My throat felt tight, dry. The air in the room seemed thinner than before. You've already thought this through, I said. I have. For how long? Months. That part hurt more than I expected. Months. All while I was going about our life, laughing with her, sleeping next to her, building future plans in my head. She was busy planning how to bring other people into our bed. Or her bed. Or any bed. Have you already? I started, but couldn't finish the question. She shook her head. No, I wouldn't. Not until we talked. I watched her lips. I still wanted to kiss her. Still wanted to believe she was mine. That the connection we had could survive this. Whatever this was. You know this could destroy us, right? I said, barely above a whisper. Her eyes glistened. But she nodded. Then she reached across the table, placed her hand over mine. Her skin was warm. Familiar. Don't you want me to be happy? That was the moment. The sentence that shattered whatever was left of my resistance. Because no matter how angry I was, how betrayed I felt, a part of me did want her to be happy. Even if it broke me in the process. Her perfume lingered long after she left. The soft click of the front door closing behind her felt louder than it should have. Like something final. Like a seal being pressed into wax. I didn't ask who he was. Maybe I should have. Maybe that would have made it easier to hate the idea. But some part of me didn't want to know, as if not knowing made it less real. Less intimate. Less personal. We had rules. We made them the night she proposed this madness. Rules she insisted would protect us from getting hurt. No lies, she said. No emotions, I added. Just honesty, we agreed. We wrote them down, like wedding vows in reverse. A list of promises designed to justify whatever came next. Rule number 1, no one we know. Rule number 2, no repeats, at least not at first. Rule number 3, always use protection. Rule number 4, don't ask for details unless you really want to hear them. Rule number 5, don't fall in love. As if love could be folded up neatly into a list and tucked into a drawer. I sat on the edge of the couch for a long time after she left, wine glass untouched on the coffee table in front of me. It was her glass. Lipstick stained. A deep red smudge on the rim. I hated how beautiful it looked. 1 hour. 2, 3. Time stretched out like some cruel joke. I tried to distract myself. Turned on the TV. Something mindless. But I couldn't focus on the screen. My eyes kept darting to the front door, as if expecting it to swing open and reveal that she had changed her mind. At one point, I opened a bottle of scotch. Not the cheap stuff, the aged single malt I'd been saving for a special occasion. What the hell? If tonight wasn't a special occasion, I didn't know what was. I took a sip. It burned in all the right ways. Then I poured another. And another. Every sound outside made my heart race. A car pulling up. A door shutting. Footsteps on the sidewalk. But none of them were her. At some point, I moved to the bedroom. Not to sleep, just to lie there. Alone. On our bed. The sheets still carried her scent, warm and floral. I stared up at the ceiling, the fan blades spinning in slow, hypnotic circles. Where was she now? What were they doing? Had they kissed already? Was it awkward? Did she laugh the way she did with me? I imagined her reaching up, brushing her hair behind her ear, leaning in. Her breath hitching just before that first kiss. The way she used to do with me. My gut twisted. God, what if they were already? I sat up too fast. The room spun. I gripped the edge of the mattress, heart thudding like I'd just sprinted a mile. I should have never said yes. I should have told her no. But that look on her face, don't you want me to be happy? She was asking for freedom. Trust. A leap. And like a fool, I jumped. Midnight. Still no word. No message. No call to say she was okay, that it went well, that she was coming home. Just silence. Heavy, thick silence. The kind that fills up the lungs and makes it hard to breathe. I paced the hallway. Checked my phone. Nothing. Eventually I sat back on the couch, staring at that damn glass of wine she left behind, untouched like me. And then, at 1:17 a.m., the door opened. Softly. No fanfare. Just the quiet turn of a key. She stepped in, heels in her hand, makeup slightly smudged. Her eyes met mine across the room, and for a moment, we just stared at each other. Neither of us spoke. She looked different. Not wrecked. Not ashamed. But changed in some small, invisible way I couldn't name. You're still up, she said, her voice low. I nodded. How was it? I asked, though I didn't really want to know. She hesitated. It was fine. Fine. That word felt like a slap. Fine was what you said about dinner with coworkers. Or the weather. Not about opening your marriage and fucking someone new. I waited for more. An explanation. A confession. Something. But she just set down her purse, walked into the kitchen, and poured herself a glass of water. We didn't speak again that night. She didn't crawl into bed with me. She showered and took the guest room instead. Said she didn't want to wake me. But I was already wide awake, listening to the sound of the water running, wondering if she was washing him off her skin. I lay there in the dark, the rules echoing in my head. No lies. No emotions. Just honesty. The rules didn't make me feel better. They just made me feel replaced. It started with the little things. Emily had always been quick to wake, the kind of person who opened her eyes and immediately moved with purpose. But now, she lingered in the mornings. Not with me, just with herself. She stretched slower, hummed to herself in the mirror while brushing her teeth. A kind of quiet glow surrounded her. Not smug, not guilty, just lighter. She had that after-sex kind of looseness in her limbs. Except it wasn't our sex she was floating on. The second night, she came home at midnight. The third, she came home at 2. I didn't ask. Not because I didn't care, but because I wasn't sure I could stomach the answers. And the silence between us stretched wider. "Want to grab lunch today?" I asked one afternoon while she was drying her hair. She barely looked up. "Can't. I've got a strategy meeting and then some errands." "What kind of errands?" She paused, then shrugged. "Just stuff. Our conversations were filling with that kind of language. Empty placeholders where intimacy used to live. I started noticing how often she checked her phone. Not in front of me. She wasn't that careless. But in places she thought I wouldn't see. Like in the shower. The faint glow through the frosted glass was unmistakable. Or late at night, screen angled away from me. Once, I caught a glimpse of her reflection in the hallway mirror. She was smiling at something on her phone. A slow, indulgent smile I hadn't seen in a long time. I wanted to believe it wasn't about him. But the truth was, she was already somewhere else, even when she was standing right next to me. At dinner, she started wearing lipstick again. Not just any shade. A dark plum color I remembered from the first year we dated. A color she always said made her feel bold. She used to wear it for me. Now I wasn't so sure. She was glowing more, talking less. And when I kissed her, it felt like pressing my mouth against memory. So I stopped kissing her. I went days without touching her, just to see if she'd notice. She didn't. Loneliness isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet realization that the person you love has already started practicing life without you. I sat in my car after work one night, staring at the dashboard, listening to the rain tapping the windshield. I couldn't bring myself to go inside. The thought of her being there, or not being there, felt equally suffocating. That's when my phone buzzed. Claire. I hadn't seen her name in over a year. "Hey, it's been a while. Still married?" I stared at the message for a long time, unsure what to do with it. Claire wasn't just a random name from the past. She was the name. My almost. My what if. Before Emily, there had been Claire. Wild, magnetic, unpredictable Claire. We were 23 and toxic in all the best ways. She had broken my heart, kissed it better, and then broken it again. We hadn't ended on bad terms, just worn out once. Life had steered us in different directions. Now here she was, on my screen. A small digital echo from a life I hadn't revisited in years. Yeah, still married. I almost didn't send it. But then I hit send. Because I was. Still married. Just no longer sure what that meant. Her reply came fast. "I'm in town for a few weeks. Want to catch up? Just coffee. Promise I won't seduce you. Unless you ask nicely, winky face." I laughed. It was the first real laugh I'd had in days. Weeks, maybe. I didn't answer right away. But the smile lingered. That night, Emily came home late. Hair tousled, eyes soft, lips bitten like she'd been kissed too hard and didn't mind. "You okay?" she asked, seeing me on the couch. "Yeah, just couldn't sleep." She walked past me, dropping her keys in the bowl, and didn't touch me. Not even a brush of fingers. Later, I heard her phone vibrate twice from the bathroom. She didn't rush to check it. She already knew who it was. And maybe that was the most damning part of it all. That comfort. That certainty. When I turned off the light that night, I reached for her out of habit. My fingers brushed her hip. She didn't move away. But she didn't move closer either. She just exhaled, long and quiet. I lay in the dark, my mind still on Claire. Claire suggested a small cafe on the east side of town. The kind of place with reclaimed wood tables and uneven ceramic mugs that always looked like they were about to tip. I got there 5 minutes early. She was already waiting. She hadn't changed. Not really. Same sharp cheekbones. Same dark eyes with that glint of playful defiance. Her hair was longer now, streaked with subtle copper tones. She wore a black turtleneck and jeans like she hadn't aged a day since I last saw her. When she looked up from her phone and saw me, her face cracked into a slow grin. "Well, damn," she said, standing. Still tall. Still unfairly handsome. I hugged her before I could think better of it. She still smelled like winter. A mix of eucalyptus and some subtle floral note I could never place, but always remembered. We sat. We talked. Easy warm. Like no time had passed at all. "What's it been?" she asked. 7 years. Closer to 8. She let out a low whistle. "You look good. Marriage must agree with you." I laughed a little too tightly. Something like that. Claire sipped her coffee, eyes narrowing slightly. "You didn't say much in your texts, but I could read between the lines." I didn't reply. Just watched the steam curl up from my cup. So, she continued, voice softening, how broken is it? I looked out the window for a long second. Cars passing. A couple arguing near the parking meter. A dog barking 2 blocks away. I don't know, I said finally. Not broken enough to walk away. But not whole either. She nodded, like she understood exactly what that meant. Tell me something honest, she said. Do you still want her? That question sat between us, heavier than anything else we'd said. I want the version of her I married, I said. I don't know if she's still in there. Claire reached across the table and touched my hand. Just briefly. It was nothing. And also everything. We didn't stay long. Maybe 40 minutes. But it was enough. Enough to remember what it felt like to be wanted without confusion. Seen without conditions. Enough to realize I wasn't completely dead inside. We didn't kiss that day. We didn't even hug again when we parted. But there was something in her smile as she walked away, an unspoken invitation, and something in my chest that stirred in response. I didn't tell Emily about meeting Claire. Not because I felt guilty, but because for the first time since this arrangement began, I had something that was mine. And privacy, not deceit, felt like power. That night, Emily was home early. She made pasta. Real pasta. With wine and soft music and candles. Like she wanted to reclaim something. I watched her twirl noodles around her fork, the way her blouse clung to her shoulder when she reached for the pepper grinder. Her legs crossed slowly under the table. She wasn't wearing her usual cotton briefs. She was wearing the red ones. The lace ones. Do you still find me attractive? She asked, mid-meal. The question caught me off guard. Of course. She leaned forward, elbows on the table. Even after all this. I didn't answer immediately. Not because I didn't know, but because I was wondering if the question had a right answer. If I said yes, I might be lying. If I said no, I'd be hurting her. You've always been beautiful to me, I said. She nodded, but her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Later, she curled up next to me on the couch. Her body warm, familiar. I let my arm fall around her shoulders. And for a moment, it almost felt normal again. Until her phone buzzed. A message she read quickly, smiling just barely. I didn't ask who it was. And she didn't offer. We made love that night. It was slow, cautious. Like 2 people trying to remember how their bodies used to fit. Her hands were softer than I remembered. Her kisses deeper. But her eyes never fully closed. And neither did mine. After, we lay there in silence. My chest rising and falling with hers. Sweat cooling. Her head on my shoulder. Thank you, she whispered. I almost asked what for. But I didn't want to know. Maybe for forgiving her. Maybe for still trying. Maybe for pretending. My phone buzzed around 1 a.m. Claire. Still can't sleep. Thinking about you. I stared at the screen. I didn't reply. Not yet. I just held it in my hand, feeling the tremble in my pulse. The shift inside me. Like gravity tilting toward something new. Emily stirred beside me, but didn't wake. The room was quiet. But everything else was starting to get loud. I didn't notice it right away. At first, it was just background noise. The way she hummed in the bathroom. The way she smiled to herself while cooking. A faint sort of happiness that didn't include me. Then came the name. Tyler. She dropped it into a sentence casually, like I already knew who he was. Tyler says that new exhibit at the museum is overrated, she said one Saturday morning, scrolling through her phone as she sipped coffee at the counter. But I kind of want to go anyway, just to see for myself. Tyler, I asked. She didn't even look up. Yeah. No explanation. No effort to soften it. Just a name with weight behind it. Familiar to her, foreign to me. That night, I caught her looking at herself in the mirror longer than usual. She tried on 3 outfits before we left for dinner. Not with me. With him. He likes this color, she said, smoothing the hem of a fitted maroon blouse I'd never seen before. I didn't ask who he was. I didn't have to. When she left, she kissed me on the cheek like I was a doorman. I didn't stay home. I went to Claire's. I hadn't planned on it. My fingers found her name without me realizing. My body moved on its own. Drive. Knock. Breath held. She opened the door in leggings and an oversized tee, barefoot, no makeup. She smiled like she'd been expecting me. I was wondering when you'd show up, she said. Inside, the lights were dim. A candle flickered on the coffee table, the scent of amber and vanilla curling through the air. We sat close. Closer than friends. Closer than memory. She touched my knee once, soft, lingering. A question asked through fingertips. I didn't answer out loud. I just leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't frantic or desperate. It was slow, deliberate. The kind of kiss that comes with familiarity and tension coiled for too long. Her lips opened under mine, warm and certain. When we moved to her bedroom, it felt like the world had narrowed to just her skin and my breath, and the way her fingers tangled in my shirt as if she didn't want to let me go. I didn't check my phone once. I didn't think about Emily. Not even when I left Claire's at dawn. Hair a mess, clothes wrinkled, the aftertaste of sex still lingering on my skin. I got home to find Emily already awake, wearing one of her oversized sweaters and a smile I didn't recognize. "You're up early," I said, stepping past her into the kitchen. She didn't ask where I'd been. Didn't blink. "I didn't sleep much," she said, pouring coffee. There was something different in her voice. Lightness, like guilt had evaporated. I sipped my own cup and waited for her to say more. She didn't. She didn't need to. I'd seen that look before, post-orgasmic and smug. I'd just never seen it aimed past me. Later that day, she told me a story about Tyler. He's a graphic designer. He rides motorcycles. He's vegan, but not annoying about it. He once slept in a hammock on a beach in Portugal for 3 months. The way she told it, the story wasn't about him. It was about her in his world. As if she came alive differently in his presence. I nodded through it, unreadable. Not because I was numb, but because I didn't care. Claire texted me the next morning. "Still thinking about last night. You taste the same, but feel different." Emily was humming again when I came downstairs. Wearing a t-shirt Tyler had probably taken off her the night before. I could smell him on her. Not literally. Just something instinctive, the scent of distance and another man's attention. And I didn't flinch. That night, I lay beside her in bed, scrolling through old photos on my phone. I found one of Claire and me from years ago, blurry, laughing, tangled in each other on some summer afternoon. My thumb hovered over the delete icon. I didn't press it. Emily rolled over, her arm brushing mine. "You okay?" she whispered. I turned to face her. "Yeah, just tired." She kissed my shoulder. Her lips lingered for a moment, like maybe she wanted to say more. But she didn't. She just curled up beside me and fell asleep. And for the first time in weeks, I stared at the ceiling and smiled. The balance had shifted. She was falling in love with someone. But so was I. The difference? She thought I was still hers. Emily started waking up before me again. But now she didn't hum. She hovered. Stood in the doorway while I brushed my teeth. Folded laundry that didn't need folding. Asked questions that didn't need asking. "Where were you last night?" She asked over eggs one morning. I didn't look up. "Out." "Out where?" I shrugged. "Just needed air." She stared, waiting for more. I offered none. And that silence, the same one I'd endured for weeks, suddenly didn't feel so sweet when it was hers. That weekend, she picked a fight over nothing. Something about me not rinsing the blender. Her voice rising, fast and sharp, like she'd been holding something and that finally slipped. And when I just watched her, calm, unfazed, her anger deflated mid-sentence. "You don't even care anymore, do you?" I didn't answer, because I didn't know her one. That night, I was late coming home. Claire had made dinner, Thai curry, wine, candles, jazz humming in the background. It felt like warmth without pressure, desire without expectation. Her eyes on me didn't feel like surveillance. They felt like invitation. After dessert, I stayed on her couch, her legs curled in my lap, her hand tracing lazy circles on my forearm. "Does she know?" Claire asked softly. "No. She hasn't figured it out? She's too busy falling in love with Tyler." Claire laughed. "You say that like you're jealous." "I'm not. Not even a little." I looked down at her, her lips curled around the rim of her wine glass. "Not anymore. I left at midnight." Claire kissed me hard at the door, her hand sliding into the back of my neck, pulling me close. There was something greedy in her mouth now, and I liked it. When I got home, Emily was sitting on the couch, TV off, her legs tucked under her, arms crossed. She didn't say anything, just watched me like she was counting the seconds I took to close the door behind me. "You smell like perfume," she said. "Yeah. It's not mine." "Nope." She stood slowly, walked toward me. "Where were you?" I dropped my keys in the bowl. "Out. With someone." I met her eyes. Didn't flinch. "Is there someone else?" she asked, barely above a whisper. I paused. That question used to belong to me. It used to live in my mouth. And now, here she was, scared, uncertain, reaching for something that was no longer within reach. I didn't answer right away. Her breath hitched. Just slightly. Like the moment before a sob or a scream. I stepped past her without responding. I'm going to bed. I could feel her watching me all the way down the hallway. The next morning, she was already up. Dressed, hair curled, full makeup. A little too perfect for a Sunday. Going somewhere. I asked. Brunch. With Tyler. She blinked. Yeah. I nodded and poured my coffee. Don't forget your charger this time. You'll want to check your phone. She frowned. What's that supposed to mean? I didn't answer. She grabbed her purse a little too fast, like her hand was trembling. Her keys clinked against the marble counter as she missed the edge the first time. See you later, she mumbled. I didn't look up. Just raised my cup. Sure. She didn't say goodbye. I waited until the door clicked closed before I reached for my phone. Claire had already messaged. Last night was dangerous. I want more. I smiled. The shift had become a slide. Emily's rules were turning against her, because now she was the one wondering. Now she was the one who couldn't stop checking her phone. She snooped that evening. I could feel it. The way she lingered near the bathroom counter while I showered. The way she tried to unlock my phone when she thought I was asleep. I watched her through half-closed eyes, her fingers clumsy on the screen, trying old passcodes she used to know by heart. She even sniffed the collar of my jacket. I said nothing. Let her spiral quietly. Let her dig into her own discomfort. Because now, for the first time in weeks, I was unreadable, calm, collected, and free. The next night, we lay in bed back to back. Her voice came in a whisper. I didn't think it would feel like this. I said nothing. I thought it would be exciting, liberating. Still nothing. I didn't think we'd stop talking. That one stung a little. Because she was right. We hadn't talked in weeks. Not really. Not about us. Not about anything that mattered. Do you still want this? She asked. I turned my head, staring at the shadows on the ceiling. What do you mean by this? Us. I didn't answer. She didn't ask again. And in the silence, I realized she was finally afraid of losing me. Claire and I weren't hiding anymore. Not in the way that mattered. We still didn't go anywhere close to home. No hand-holding in public. No selfies. No late-night calls that could be overheard. But emotionally, I was wide open with her in ways I hadn't been with Emily in months. Maybe longer. Claire knew things now. What time I woke up, how I liked my coffee, how I clench my jaw when I'm trying not to cry. She knew what songs made me quiet, what movies made me laugh, what it meant when I ran my thumb across the rim of a glass absent-mindedly. And one night, she leaned in on the couch, tracing my jaw with her fingers, and said, I don't want to be your secret anymore. I looked at her, heart thudding. Emily doesn't need to know everything, I said. Claire raised a brow. She told you the truth. I sat back. Eventually, she gave you freedom, and you took it. But now you're using it to lie. I hated that she was right. But even more than that, I hated that I didn't feel bad about it. Claire didn't push. She kissed me once, long and slow, and let it go. But the seed was planted. 2 nights later, Emily found the photo. I had left my phone unlocked, stupid, careless. It was a picture Claire had sent me weeks ago. Just her in bed, tangled in sheets, smiling sleepily at the camera. It wasn't pornographic. It wasn't even dirty. But it was intimate. It was hers. And it was mine. Emily saw it while I was in the shower. I came out to find her sitting on the edge of the bed, holding my phone like it was a bomb about to detonate. What the fuck is this? She asked, eyes wide, voice shaking. I didn't answer right away. I thought we had rules, she snapped, standing up. You don't even tell me you're seeing someone? And you're hiding photos? I grabbed a towel, wiped my face slowly. You broke the rules first, Emily. No, I didn't. She jabbed a finger at the screen. That wasn't in the deal. You want honesty now? I said, my voice flat. Okay. Her name is Claire. She messaged me a while back. We've been seeing each other. Seeing each other? She echoed, like the words were foreign. Sleeping together. I clarified. Laughing together. Talking. You know, all the things you used to do with me before Tyler came into the picture. She looked like I'd slapped her. That's different, she whispered. How? Because I didn't, her voice broke. Because I didn't feel things. I tilted my head. You sure about that? She opened her mouth. Closed it. You keep saying it's just sex, I said. But I know what it looks like when you're falling for someone. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't want this. But you asked for it. I thought it would help, she said, voice cracking. I thought we could try something new. Maybe fix what was broken. And instead you broke it more. I didn't mean to. I stared at her, bare feet on the rug, shoulders shaking. Her mascara had smudged. Her blouse was wrinkled, probably slept in it. Her vulnerability was raw, but I couldn't feel sorry for her. Because now she was tasting her own medicine. You weren't supposed to actually move on, she said, almost choking the words out. You weren't supposed to love someone else. And there it was. The real wound. Not that I cheated. Not that I hid something. But that someone else had touched a part of me she used to own. You thought I'd wait around while you had your fun? I asked quietly. No, she said. I thought you'd fight for me. I didn't have an answer for that. She sat down on the edge of the bed again, head in her hands. I didn't think it would feel like this. This was your idea, I reminded her. I thought we'd explore, and then come back to each other. Come back to what, Emily? The version of us before all this. That's dead. She looked up at me, eyes shining. Then why are you still here? I didn't know. Habit? Guilt? A strange loyalty to the bones of something we both killed? She got up slowly, walked past me, and stopped in the doorway. Her voice was quiet. Do you love her? That question hung in the air like smoke. I didn't answer. Not because I didn't know, but because I did. She left the room. The door clicked shut behind her. I sat down on the bed. My phone buzzed. Claire. Thinking about you. I want more than this. Say the word. I didn't reply. Not yet. Not tonight. Because the woman I married was crying behind a locked door. And I wasn't sure whether I was the villain in her story or the one finally escaping it. We didn't speak the next day. Not really. There were a few words, perfunctory exchanges, like strangers sharing a kitchen. Pass the milk. Your phone rang. I'm working late. But the silence underneath those words was deafening. We moved through the house like ghosts, polite, quiet, almost invisible. And yet, everything had weight now. Every glance, every sound, every absence. That night, I came home late. On purpose. I didn't want to be around the tension, the sadness leaking from the walls. Claire had offered to cook. I said no. Not tonight. When I walked through the door, Emily was sitting on the living room floor. Not the couch. The floor. Cross-legged, barefoot, in one of my old t-shirts. Her hair was up, face bare. Vulnerable in a way I hadn't seen in a long time. I made tea, she said quietly. Didn't know when you'd be home. I dropped my keys in the bowl. Didn't know either. She nodded once. Can we talk? I hesitated, then sat across from her, mirroring her posture without meaning to. The tea steamed between us. Neither of us touched it. For a long moment, she didn't say anything. She just looked at me, like she was trying to remember who I was. Then she asked it, the question I knew was coming. Do you still love me? It wasn't said with anger or desperation. It wasn't a trap. It was just a whisper in the dark, stripped of pride. A woman trying to understand whether her marriage was salvageable or already ashes. I took a breath. My chest tightened. I think, I said slowly, I loved who you were. She blinked. But I'm not sure who you are anymore. The air left her lungs like I'd hit her. She didn't cry. She didn't argue. She just folded, eyes closing, shoulders curling in. I didn't mean to lose myself, she said. I just wanted to feel something. I know. And I didn't mean to lose you either. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd once danced with barefoot in the kitchen. The woman who used to leave notes in my coat pocket before work. The woman who had changed and grown and reached for something that didn't include me and now didn't know how to come back. You were right about one thing, I said. She looked up, eyes red but steady. I didn't fight for you. Her breath caught. I think I was waiting, I continued, for you to realize you'd made a mistake, for you to come back. But every time you walked out that door, every time you smiled at your phone, every time you said Tyler's name like it meant something, I stopped waiting a little more. A tear slipped down her cheek. She didn't wipe it away. I didn't know how far I'd gone, she said. You went far enough to forget what I felt like. She nodded, slowly. And now? I swallowed hard. Now? I don't know if I can find my way back. We sat in silence. The weight of everything unspoken between us pressed down like gravity. All the laughter that used to live here. All the nights we held each other and promised forever. All the trust we burned down in pursuit of something we couldn't even name. She finally spoke again. I miss you, she said. Not just the sex. Or the routine. You. The way you used to see me. I didn't respond right away. Because I missed her too. Or at least, the version of her I carried in my memory. The one who looked at me like I was enough. Who touched me with warmth instead of obligation. Who made space for us? I miss you, I said quietly. But I don't know if I miss this. She nodded, understanding. I want to close it, she said. The marriage. The openness. All of it. I looked at her. Because you want to? Or because you're afraid I've moved on? She hesitated. There was my answer. Her voice cracked. I want to try again. I want to fight for us. And maybe she meant it. Maybe she was ready to rebuild. But I wasn't sure I wanted to live inside something we'd glued back together. I reached for the tea. Took a sip. It was cold now. Bitter. She reached across the space between us. Her hand touched mine. I let it stay. We didn't say anything else. Because sometimes love doesn't end in fire or betrayal. Sometimes it ends in the quiet realization that you both stopped recognizing each other and didn't notice until it was too late. Emily didn't say anything the next morning. No pleading. No apologies. No last-minute justifications. Just silence. Careful, heavy, and almost respectful. I sat at the kitchen island while she made coffee, her movements slow and deliberate. She poured a second cup and placed it in front of me without a word. I watched the steam rise. Her hands lingered on the mug before pulling away, like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to touch me anymore. I meant what I said last night, she said finally. I nodded. I want to close it. End the open marriage. I want us. I sipped the coffee. Bitter, just like I liked it, but somehow less warm. She sat across from me. The chair made a soft scraping sound against the tile, one I'd heard 100 times. But this morning, it felt like punctuation, the kind that comes right before an answer is expected. I deleted Tyler's number, she added, her voice tight. I blocked him. I haven't seen him since the photo. I didn't ask her to. I'll go to therapy, she said. Alone. With you. Whatever you need. I looked at her, the way her hands curled in her lap, the way her shoulders were drawn up like she was bracing for a storm. She wasn't arrogant anymore. Wasn't glowing. She looked tired. Real. Human. Emily. I said, I'm not angry anymore. Her eyes flicked up to mine. Hope sparked. That doesn't mean I'm ready to come back. I finished. The spark dimmed. I'm not even sure where back is, I continued. You want to end the openness, but that's not a reset button. There's no clean slate. We can't pretend this didn't happen. I'm not pretending, she said quickly. I'm asking for a second chance. I stood and walked to the window. Outside, the sun had barely cracked the horizon. Morning haze drifted over the street like a veil. Our neighbor's sprinklers hissed to life. And everything, for a moment, looked normal. I remembered the night we first moved in, mattress on the floor, empty fridge, takeout boxes, and red wine. We made love in every room that weekend. Not because it was wild, but because we were excited, like children in a fort they'd built together. Somewhere along the way, we lost that. And now she wanted to go back and find it. But I wasn't the same man. And she wasn't the same woman. I turned around. Let me think about what I actually want. Her face twitched like she didn't expect that answer. Maybe she thought I'd fall into her arms the moment she offered to close the marriage, like some switch had flipped and everything would reset. But I didn't know her that. Not anymore. You said you loved me, she said. You said you just didn't know who I was anymore. I still don't. I can be her again. No, you can't, I said gently. And I don't think you should try. She sat back like I'd taken the air out of her lungs. I'm not trying to punish you, I added. I'm just done rushing decisions. I need to be sure. She nodded, slow. So what now? I'll stay at a hotel for a few days. Give us space. You don't have to. I want to. That part came out sharper than I meant. But I didn't take it back. I went upstairs, packed a small bag. Just the essentials. My hands were calm. My chest was not. But I needed distance, not out of spite, but out of clarity. She followed me to the door, barefoot, arms crossed. Will you come back? She asked. I turned the knob, paused, then looked over my shoulder. I don't know. Her mouth parted, like she wanted to say something. Maybe to cry, maybe to beg. But she didn't. She just nodded. And when I stepped outside, I realized I wasn't dreading this space between us. I wasn't afraid of the silence. I was curious what I might learn in it. It was a Thursday night. One of those unremarkable evenings where the air smells faintly like cold cement and everyone's just trying to get home before the traffic thickens. But for me, it felt like something else, like turning a final corner after walking a road for too long. Claire had picked the place. Some upscale bistro tucked into a block of glass and steel. Low lights. White tablecloths. The kind of place where the waiters memorize your name before you've even ordered. You sure you want to do this here? I asked her as we walked in. She glanced around the room, brushing a curl behind her ear. You mean in public? I nodded. She smiled, leaning into my shoulder just enough for it to count. If I'm your secret forever, it'll kill us. I didn't say anything, just offered her my arm, and she took it. We were seated near the window. A good table. Not hidden, not exposed, just seen. Claire looked stunning. Not overdressed, not trying too hard. Just that effortless kind of beautiful that comes from someone who knows exactly who she is. Her fingers brushed mine across the table, and something in me exhaled for the first time all week. We ordered wine, laughed about something the waiter said, talked about nothing and everything. For once, I wasn't thinking about consequences. I wasn't mentally checking some scoreboard in my head. I was just there. And then the door opened. I didn't have to look. I felt it. That subtle electricity in the air, the hairs on my neck prickling, the way my heart picked up like it recognized a pattern. Claire saw it too. She tilted her head. Someone you know? I turned slightly. Emily. She was with a friend, some woman I vaguely recognized from her work holiday parties. They were being shown to a table across the room, diagonally behind Claire, in full view of us. I saw it register in Emily's face. Her posture stiffened. Her eyes found mine. She didn't stop walking, but something inside her did. Claire reached for her water. That's her, isn't it? I nodded. She looked surprised. She probably thought I'd still be deciding. Claire smiled, but it wasn't smug. Just knowing. Are you? I looked at her. At the way she didn't flinch under my gaze. At the way she gave me space without retreating. At the way she chose me, fully, openly. No, I said. Not anymore. Claire's expression softened, and her hand found mine under the table. We didn't kiss. We didn't perform. We just sat there as ourselves. Emily never came over. She didn't make a scene. She didn't even wave. But the look she gave me, across white china and candlelight and two different versions of reality, said everything. There was no rage in her eyes. No accusation. Just realization. I wasn't hers anymore. Claire and I finished our meal. I drove her home. She rested her hand on my thigh the entire way, her thumb moving in lazy circles. I parked outside her building, engine still humming. You good? She asked. I looked at her, at the city lights reflecting in her eyes, at the quiet waiting between us. Yeah, I said. I think I am. She leaned in, kissed me gently. Come up. I didn't hesitate. Inside, we didn't talk much. We moved around each other with that kind of intimacy you only get when something is finally aligned. I undressed her slowly. She undressed me slower. There was no rush. There was no guilt. That night, we didn't make love like we were trying to forget anyone. We made love like we were building something new. And in the quiet after, when her head was on my chest and my fingers traced circles on her back, I thought about the look in Emily's eyes. The loss. The grief. The understanding. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't cruelty. It was closure. Emily didn't call after that night. No texts. No emails. No quiet, can we talk, messages like she used to send after arguments. Just silence. A few days passed. Then a week. I moved out of the hotel and into a short-term rental, something small and clean, with white walls and hardwood floors that creaked under bare feet. Claire brought over a plant. I killed it in 5 days. She laughed, replaced it with a cactus. Harder to disappoint, she said. We didn't rush into labels. No one said boyfriend or partner. We didn't need to, but we were us. And that was enough. Until the message came. Can you come by the house Saturday morning? I'll be out by then. Just need help with the last few boxes. Emily. There were no exclamation marks. No hearts. Not even a thank you. Just facts. Distance. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. Okay. When I pulled up that Saturday, the driveway was already half empty. Her car was gone. The porch light was off, even though it was overcast and gray. She'd left the front door unlocked, a small detail that felt both careless and painfully familiar. Inside, the house was hollow. The couch was gone, half the bookshelves cleared, walls stripped of photos, their ghosts still faint in the outline of sun-bleached squares. There were 3 boxes stacked by the door. Kitchen stuff, I guessed. Maybe a few framed prints she didn't want to leave behind. Her scent still lingered faintly in the bedroom, lavender, almond, and something I used to think of as home. I stood there for a while, just breathing it in, not because I missed her, but because I needed to say goodbye to the version of us that once lived here. I grabbed the boxes and loaded them into the back of my car. She hadn't left a note. No letter. Not even a scrawled, "Take care." Just silence. That was her goodbye, until I turned to close the trunk and found her standing there. Across the yard. Hair pulled back. Jacket zipped halfway. Her hands were stuffed in her pockets like she didn't trust them not to shake. "I forgot my key," she said. I pulled it from my jacket. Walked it over. Her fingers brushed mine when she took it. Just barely. But it was enough to send something tight through my chest. "You didn't have to come back," I said. She shrugged. Didn't feel right leaving without saying something. We stood there for a long moment, two people on opposite ends of a memory. She glanced toward the house. "Does it feel different now?" "Yes." "Better." I didn't answer. She looked down. "I thought seeing you with her would make me angry." "And it didn't," she said softly. "It just made me sad." I nodded. "Me too." Her eyes welled. She blinked fast, trying to fight it. "So," she said, voice trembling, "you really don't love me anymore?" There it was. The question hanging between us since the moment she first opened that door to someone else. The one she had been hoping would change. That something, anything, would bring me back. I looked at her. At the woman who once shared my toothbrush. Who knew how I took my coffee. Who used to tuck her feet under my legs on cold nights. The woman who thought she needed more, and only realized too late that more didn't mean better. And I said it. Quietly. Gently. Honestly. Not in a way that would be fair to either of us. She nodded, biting her lip hard, like she might cry but refused to let it happen in front of me. She stepped back. "Take care of yourself," she said. "You too." She turned to go. No hug. No lingering look. Just footsteps down the driveway, one after another. I watched her go, not out of longing, but out of gratitude, because I finally felt free.